The legends of Dunscaith Castle on the Isle of Skye. Originally the fortress was in the possession of the Norse King of Man, and securing Dunscaith were a race of savage Norse warriors known as the McCaskills. The hereditary keeper of Dunscaith was Black Donald, the head of the McCaskills. The McCaskills' loyalty was given to the clan MacLeod. Along with the honour of being associated with the MacLeods, the McCaskills had to also take on the burden of the many MacLeod enemies, the most menacing of which were the MacDonalds. The McCaskills were feared, and the MacDonalds, knowing the legends surrounding the family, carefully planned their raid. Not daring to confront Black Donald in the open battle, they descended upon the castle under nightfall and attacked the McCaskills as they slept. When the sun rose the next morning, Dunscaith was in the hands of the MacDonalds, and Black Donald was dead, stabbed multiple times in the chest while he slept. The McCaskill children had escaped from the castle into the dark woods of Torquevig, their screams echoing in the cold night air as they were hunted down by the MacDonald clansmen. One of the very few survivors was Black Donald's youngest daughter, Mary McCaskill. Only 13 at the time of the attack, she hid in a rotted-out log in the woods for 3 days and nights before gaining the courage to join the rest of the surviving family. 3 years later, she journeyed back to Dunscaith. Knocking at the door of the castle, Mary advised she was there to apply for the position of housekeeper, which the MacDonalds had advertised. Before long, Mary had gained their trust so that she was promoted to work in the nursery as nanny to the MacDonald children. One day, the MacDonalds, being in the thralls of yet another land dispute, gathered all the clan to fight in a nearby battle with the MacLeods. Mary was left alone in the castle with only a few guards and the 7 MacDonald children. As an encroaching storm gathered over the isle and the sea began to churn under a cold wind, Mary awoke the children and escorted them to the tower. Advising the guards, she was uneasy and felt she would be safer in there. Softly though, so as not to wake them, she walked over to the east window of the tower. She opened it and first off tossed the baby out of the window into the rocks below. Slowly, one by one, she picked up each of the children and threw them from the tower into the storm to their inevitable demise. When the deed was done, Mary walked out of the tower and walked barefoot into the woods and disappeared. When word spread through Skye of the horrible crime, everyone was mortified, even the McCaskills. This was an evil even they could not comprehend. Ever since, both clans have been careful not to christen any children Mary for fear of evil deeds being returned. The second legend I'm going to tell you about is about the warrior maiden Skye. Here, Dunscaith Castle is known as the Fortress of Shadows. As well as Dunscaith Castle being her home, it was also the place where she trained her students in the art of combat. According to legend, she would only train those warriors who were already brave enough and skilled enough to penetrate the defences of her castle. If you've already heard about the enchanted waters which flow under Slagachan Bridge, you are likely to have already heard of Skye's most famous student, Chuchalane, the legendary Ulster warrior. He trained with the warrior maiden for a long time and really made his mark, so much so that it's believed that the mighty Cullen Mountains are named after him. During Chuchalane's training, a battle broke out between Skye and her twin sister Aoife. Rather than get her students involved in the fray, Skye wanted to protect Chuchalane but knew he would never stay out of the battle. She decided to give him a sleeping potion that would bind him to a dreamless sleep for 24 hours. However, this did not work, and he appeared on the battlefield within an hour to defend his master. Aoife had challenged Skye to a duel, but before she could agree, Chuchalane took matters into his own hands and stood as her champion. Aoife and Chuchalane fought fiercely, and at one point it appeared that he had lost. His weapon had been shattered, rendering him useless in battle. However, he was determined not to be beaten. He distracted Prince Aoife by shouting that her horses, the creature she loved more than anything else in this world, had fallen from a cliff. Alarmed, Aoife turned to look, and Cuchulainn overpowered her. He held his splintered sword to her throat as she begged for her life. Cuchulainn agreed to spare her, but on 2 conditions. The first was that she must cease fighting with Skye, and the second was that she must bear him a son. She agreed on both counts, and Aoife went on to give birth to a healthy baby boy. They named him Conley.